But the point is, there are lifeboat crews at the moment who are working pretty much round the clock intercepting these vessels.
The Dungeness lifeboat was called out at 2 a.m. to reports of a boat in trouble off the coast. That was the first call of the day. It's been out more than half a dozen times. The latest call came about 6 o'clock in the evening. It's gone now off Hastings and is involved in that rescue. In the meantime, the Dover lifeboat has just come back into Dover Harbour. It had been off the coast. There you see the very latest pictures of that vessel coming back in. We understand there are 30 people at least on board that. They were pulled off a small boat about 10 miles off St Margaret's Bay this evening. It, as well, has been out more than half a dozen times, the Dover lifeboat. Ramsgate, that vessel was out. It came into harbour with more than 80 migrants at one point today. In addition to that, you've got Border Force who've been out as well. They've been out in 4 of their boats, a cutter and 3 other Border Force vessels out there intercepting these vessels. We understand that actually 30 boats have been intercepted on the British side of the waters. There are also some boats that have been intercepted by the French in French waters and turned back, as was the picture yesterday. But actually the majority do get through and over to the UK.
These numbers, which, you know, when we look at the projections, I know privately people are talking about tens of thousands more in the next calendar year, 21,000, maybe 22,000, possibly a bit higher, maybe 25,000 by the end of this year, possibly double or triple that by next year, and who knows what beyond then. It's the rate of increase that's got to have people like Priti Patel worried.
They are worried, and it's a model that's working. That's why they're worried, because when you had the model of, and you still have that to an extent, of migrants in the back of lorries. In fact, on the M25 earlier today, 5 migrants were pulled out of the back of a refrigerated lorry and treated for hypothermia. So that is still going on. But to a lesser degree than it was a few years ago, when we saw all of those pictures out of Calais of lots of migrants trying to get onto the backs of lorries. Then they really upped the game at the port of Calais to try to ensure that, you know, they put these probes in, testing for carbon dioxide and things like that in the air in the back of these lorries. They had X-ray vision. They were able to pluck quite a few of the migrants off these lorries, and they were then basically being put off that route. They were trying again and being caught, and some got through, but a lot didn't. However, this route through the Channel, yes, some are being turned back in France, but they're doing like they did with the lorries, and they're trying again. And at some point they get through, because all they need to do really is to get far enough off the shore so they can't safely be turned back by the French. Then they tell the French, according to the French, that if you try to intercept us and push us back, we will jump into the water. So the French then escort these vessels into British waters, and the British have no choice then but to receive them and take them to Dover or whichever port they are nearby at that stage. Britain wants to adopt a process of trying to turn back some of the vessels, but that, I mean, it will work in a tiny proportion of the incidents. They would have to be all male, for instance. They would never do it with women and children on board. It would have to be a sturdy enough vessel. Well, these vessels aren't that sturdy. And it would have to be in a state, in other words, not overpacked with migrants. So what are the migrants going to do? They're going to make sure that they overpack them. They're going to put some women and children in there for good measure. And they are going to be in increasingly flimsy boats, which we're seeing. The longer, 11-metre-long boats, there was 86 migrants pulled off one of those boats in the English Channel in recent weeks. You can see where this is heading, Colin.
And you're saying, in a word, Mark, this is insoluble unless you get ironclad French cooperation.
French cooperation, and also going after the operation to sell these boats and engines to the traffickers in the first place. Go after it at source.